Um, Here's the house and the shale rock behind. So it's a really shaly hill with like maybe 3 to 4 foot of top foot soil. And the pine forest is a really big pine forest above. Okay, first place I'm going to take you is the idea for the greenhouse, which is right here. Okay. Okay, hopefully you've just seen a picture of one of the ideas for a greenhouse. As you can see, there's a raised sort of bank here, and on this lower part is where I'd put the compost with a set of copper coils wrapped around it. And because it's lower than the greenhouse, as the compost rots and heats, it will the hot water will rise and will go into a radiator of some sorts that's inside the greenhouse. That's one way of sort of keeping the heat up in there. Okay. Okay, so sort of second idea for the greenhouse would be here, up against this rock face. There's a lot of growth here. There's a well-established apple tree, and you can see there's not much topsoil, which kind of baffles me a little bit. But there are, there's a good bunch of trees up there as well, and we think potentially it's a heat sink. So I mean, I've just borne this all away today, and yeah, it's nice and warm because it is south-facing. So it'll get sunlight all day, it will capture heat, and then during the evening will act as a heat sink and let it all out nice and slowly. Okay, now we're going to go back across the road to this vegetable patch. So the very first photo was taken from up there, looking back down. So this is the field for the veg patch and the polytunnels. It's actually the best area for the sun we have on the land, and that's our boundary line. But we'll start off, I guess, small, and then there's definitely room to expand. We've had someone who's a beekeeper around, and he said this is a really good area for bees. It's in zone 2, but that's great for the children because we have to cross the road to get it. And yeah, that's sort of south-facing there. So yeah, I think great place for the veg patch. Okay, so we're now coming from the veg patch polytunnel area all the way up to the sort of the isolation retreat idea that I had. Where's that yurt? So the yurt will be placed there, and it's in its own little valley. Oh, you'll see it's in its own little valley. And actually, I'll just take you there. It's easier. Okay, so this is the field, and then the yurt is going to be placed sort of up there, just to get more of an idea of the landscape and things. Okay, so this is where the isolation retreat's going to be. This is mapped out the area for the year. I've chose this area because it's to enhance people's perception of their sight, taste, smell, hearing and touch. Because if we can enhance that and make them more sensitive to that, then they're essentially more sensitive to life and they can experience more life. So the idea would be to plant a lot of lavender, chamomile here. The river's just there. Yeah, and the yurt with the yurt, a compost toilet, and just a place where they can be completely alone because it's 360-degree nature. And then, okay, so from the yurt, we can walk along this bank here. This here to our right is a pine forest which goes quite tall. It's not our land, and it's been actually recently forested. And we go to and explain a bit about the orchard here. So my idea, which I'll explain in the video, but as well, is to potentially place a pond there, depending on how I can do it with the rocks. And then, yeah, orchard here. So let me take you there now. Okay, so this is where the orchard's going to be. I say orchard, we just want like a wide variety of trees, rather than just one tree, so people here can experience just all the different tastes that are possible. So it's a gradient down, south-facing bank again. But after the presentation we had about trees and things, knowing how much care that trees need in the first 3 years, needs to be sort of a water source implemented up here. With that, there's potential to feed all the animals. The pig field, the alpacas, and the chickens can all be fed off the same water source. So potentially a pond will be dug out here, but it's an experimentation because of the slate rock that's underneath, whether the water will suddenly drain away and we need to put clay in. There is clay in the riverbank, so there are materials we can use to make an artificial pond. And then hopefully with the steep bank we have here into that pine forest, hopefully the water can run down. It's either this or I try and find, well, the key point. I've been looking for it and I can't find it. So whether I can find a spring or a water source in this area or just trap rainwater in a big enough pond. But yeah, hopefully 2 terraced rows of trees and just variety more so over the same trees. Yeah. So you would have seen the video on this orchard area. So if there was a pond placed here, for example, the pig pen is here for this east facing slope field. So that would be great if we can use the water from rainwater harvested from there. But then also the water can be used to for the alpaca shed, which is sort of there. And so I decided it's sort of better to instead of harnessing rainwater from these buildings, it's easier to take it from the stream because the stream is constant and all the rainwater that comes off these buildings, because it's such hard ground, ends up in the stream anyway. So whereas I'm better off putting in a system that uses the stream water rather than relying on rain, because it's more of a reliable system. So that's where I'm going to harness the water for my veg patch here and for the greenhouse here.